You're at a family dinner, watching your brother-in-law smoothly convince everyone that his business failures are actually everyone else's fault. Your girlfriend's friend just happened to need a ride home, again, right when you had plans together. Your gym buddy keeps borrowing money but somehow never remembers to pay it back. Sound familiar? This is the reality most men live in, constantly surrounded by people who've mastered the art of getting what they want while you're left wondering how you always end up holding the bag. These aren't accidents or coincidences. These are calculated moves by people who understand power dynamics while you've been playing by rules that no longer exist. Today, we're diving into Machiavelli's most brutal insights about human nature, lessons that will transform you from someone who gets exploited into someone who can't be touched. What separates the manipulated from the untouchable? Simple: knowledge of the psychological warfare happening around you every single day. You're losing opportunities, respect, and control to people who understand what you're about to learn. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." The manipulators in your life already know this. They've been using your assumptions about their character against you. Picture this: every manipulation attempt becomes as obvious as a neon sign flashing in front of your face. By the end of this video, you'll possess the mental framework that makes you immune to manipulation, plus the strategic awareness to handle power games like someone who's been playing them for decades. Here's the thing about getting life advice from a guy who died 500 years ago. Niccolo Machiavelli never had to deal with manipulative Instagram DMs or passive-aggressive family group chats. But somehow, this Renaissance Italian who spent his days analyzing backstabbing princes and scheming nobles figured out human psychology better than any modern self-help guru with a podcast. While we're dealing with gym buddies who forget to pay us back and girlfriends' friends who always need rides, Machiavelli was watching dukes steal kingdoms and merchants manipulate entire trade routes. Same manipulation playbook, different century. The guy was basically documenting power moves before we even had a word for gaslighting. Think of Machiavelli as your strategic mentor from the past, someone who already witnessed every manipulation tactic you're facing today, just wrapped in fancy Renaissance clothing. He understood that knowledge of these principles isn't about becoming manipulative, it's about never being the easiest target in the room again. Before we dive deeper, make sure you hit that like button if you're ready to stop being someone's easy target. Subscribe and ring the notification bell because we're building a community of men who see through the games, and we don't want you to miss the advanced psychological strategies coming in future videos. Now that you understand what we're dealing with, let's begin your transformation. And here's the first lesson that'll make every family dinner less painful. Lesson 1. Recognize the performance. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. This is Machiavelli's first brutal truth: people are constantly performing, and most of what you see is carefully crafted theater. You know that friend who always has relationship drama? Notice how in their movie, they're never the villain, it's always their psycho ex, their toxic boss, or their impossible parents. The family member who turns every gathering into their personal tragedy hour. Watch them work the room like they're accepting an Oscar for Best Victim. That person who's always just trying to help. Their assistance comes with more hidden fees than your phone bill. The moment you realize that sincerity is about as rare as a good Netflix recommendation, you've taken your first step into strategic awareness. Which brings us to the next lesson that explains why you keep walking into the same emotional landmines. Lesson 2. The emotional manipulation trap. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Here's where most men get absolutely wrecked: they respond with genuine emotion to calculated button pushing. Have you noticed how your ex has supernatural timing? They text you right when you're finally moving on, like they have some kind of emotional GPS tracker. Your mom brings up your failures right before family events, Because nothing says happy birthday like a reminder of your career disappointments. Certain friends only reach out when they need something, but they package it like a reunion special. Hey stranger, we should catch up. Translation: I need a favor but want to seem casual about it. Think about the last time someone made you feel guilty for setting a boundary. I thought we were closer than that, or I'm disappointed in you. These aren't expressions of hurt feelings, they're precision strikes designed to break down your resistance. But emotional manipulation is just the appetizer. The third lesson reveals the main course of psychological warfare. Lesson 3: The Reciprocity Weapon. Machiavelli observed, men are so simple of mind, and so much dominated by their immediate needs, that a deceitful person will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The reciprocity trap is their favorite psychological Swiss Army knife. Your neighbor shows up with homemade cookies, how sweet. Then casually mentions they need help moving this weekend. Your date insists on paying for that expensive dinner, then expects you to reciprocate in ways that make you question your life choices. The manipulation is in the math. They invest $1 and expect a $10 return, with interest. Most dangerous of all, they make you feel like an ungrateful monster if you don't play along. Now let's explore the next lesson, which reveals how they turn small talk into intelligence gathering. Lesson 4: Information is currency. He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done, sooner affects his ruin than his preservation. Information is power, and manipulators are basically running their own personal FBI operation. That person who always seems to know everyone's business. They're not just gossipy, they're operating a full-scale intelligence network that would make the CIA jealous. They'll share juicy details about others to make you feel like you're in their inner circle, then pump you for information about your relationships, finances, and weekend plans. Your casual mention of weekend plans becomes their opportunity to coincidentally show up. Your relationship problems become ammunition for later use. You think you're making friendly conversation, they're conducting a professional interrogation. We've covered the foundation, spotting the Oscar-worthy performances, understanding emotional button-pushing, the reciprocity hustle, and information mining. These 4 lessons alone will help you identify most manipulation attempts before you get played again. But now we're diving into the sophisticated tactics that even aware people fall for. Let's examine the 5th lesson, which reveals how they create fake expertise faster than LinkedIn influencers. So, Lesson 5: The Authority Illusion. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Manipulators understand that people defer to authority, so they manufacture it with the skill of a counterfeiter making fake designer bags. Watch how they name-drop connections they barely have. I was just talking to, insert important person's name, or based on my experience in, suspiciously vague field. They're borrowing authority like it's a Netflix password. Your friend who suddenly becomes a relationship expert after reading one psychology article on Instagram. This manufactured authority works because humans are hardwired to follow leadership hierarchies. We evolved in small groups where following the alpha often meant survival. Manipulators exploit this evolutionary programming by positioning themselves as the expert, the connected insider, or the experienced mentor. They don't need actual authority, they just need you to perceive them as authoritative. The illusion becomes even more powerful when they combine it with exclusivity. They make you feel chosen, special, or part of an inner circle. I don't usually share this, but... Or you seem like someone who would understand. This manufactured intimacy makes their false authority feel more personal and therefore more compelling. Understanding this brings us to the next lesson, which shows how they make you think you're choosing while they're controlling. Lesson 6: The False Choice Framework. Here's where manipulation becomes surgical precision. Instead of asking for what they want directly, they present you with options that would make a rigged carnival game jealous. Do you want to lend me money now or should I ask your parents? Notice how about you don't get money from anyone isn't on their multiple choice test. This is psychological channeling. They're steering your decision-making process while making you feel like you're in control. Machiavelli would recognize this as classic political maneuvering: control the framework, control the outcome. The false choice framework is devastatingly effective because it bypasses your resistance by giving you the illusion of autonomy. You're so focused on choosing between the presented options that you don't question whether those are your only choices. Meanwhile, the manipulator has already eliminated all the options that don't serve their interests. This technique shows up everywhere once you know to look for it. In negotiations, they might say, "We can close this deal today at full price, or we can revisit it next month with a 5% increase." They've framed delay as costly while positioning immediate agreement as the reasonable choice. In relationships, it might be, "We can talk about this now or you can keep being upset." They've positioned discussion as your responsibility while making silence seem unreasonable. Now we reach the 7th lesson, which reveals the most frustrating truth of all. When good nature becomes your biggest liability. The promise given was a necessity of the past, the word broken is a necessity of the present. Here's the brutal reality that'll make you question everything: your good nature is being used as a weapon against you. Every time you give someone another chance after they've shown you their true colors, you're not being noble, you're being their favorite ATM. Your friend who always cancels last minute but you keep making plans. You're basically training them that your time has the value of a penny found on the sidewalk. This is where most good men break. They realize that their values are being used to exploit them. The crisis isn't losing your goodness, it's learning to protect it from those who would abuse it. Manipulators specifically target good people because they know your moral code makes you predictable and exploitable. Your sense of fairness becomes their leverage. Your desire to be helpful becomes their opportunity. Your loyalty becomes their security blanket while they shop around for better options. Your honesty becomes their intelligence advantage while they lie to your face. The very qualities that make you a good person become the tools they use to control you. The psychological manipulation runs even deeper. They make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, selfish for protecting your interests, and paranoid for questioning their motives. They've trained you to second-guess your own instincts and dismiss your own needs. This internal conflict weakens your resolve and makes you easier to manipulate. But this crisis point is also your breakthrough moment. Understanding that your goodness is being exploited doesn't mean becoming bad, it means becoming strategic about who deserves your goodness. Here's the 8th lesson that changes the entire game. Strategic authenticity. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. The treasure isn't becoming fake, it's realizing that being an open book doesn't mean everyone deserves library privileges. Your struggles, dreams, and vulnerabilities are premium content. Casual acquaintances don't need access to your relationship drama. This isn't being secretive, it's being selective about who gets VIP access to your inner world. Strategic authenticity means being genuine while being discerning. You remain true to your values while protecting them from exploitation. You're still kind, but you're kind to people who appreciate kindness rather than abuse it. You're still generous, but you're generous with people who reciprocate rather than take advantage. This concept revolutionizes how you interact with people. Instead of operating from a default position of openness, you operate from a position of earned trust. People get access to your authentic self based on their behavior over time, not their initial presentation or your desire to be liked. But here's what most men struggle with: they think protecting themselves means becoming cold or shutting down completely. That's where they get it wrong. There's a crucial difference between strategic authenticity and emotional shutdown, and if you want to master the art of becoming truly unbreakable while keeping your humanity intact, check out the video where we dive deep into Machiavelli's most powerful lessons on internal sovereignty and emotional control. The link is in the screen and in description section. The 9th lesson builds on this foundation. The power of controlled information. Machiavelli taught, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Control what you reveal and when, think of it as being your own personal information security system. When someone asks probing questions, flip the script. That's interesting, you ask. What's your experience with that? Watch how quickly manipulators become uncomfortable when the spotlight turns to them. They're experts at extracting information but handle giving it about as well as vampires handle sunlight. Information control serves multiple strategic purposes. First, it protects you from having your words twisted or used against you. Second, it forces others to invest in the relationship before gaining access to valuable intelligence. Third, it helps you identify who's genuinely interested in you versus who's fishing for ammunition. This doesn't mean becoming secretive or paranoid. It means being intentional about what you share with whom. Your dreams, fears, mistakes, and plans are valuable currency. Spend them wisely on people who've proven they deserve that level of access. But knowing all these tactics means nothing if you can't put them together into one bulletproof defense system. Which brings us to the final lesson, the one that transforms you from someone who simply recognizes manipulation into someone who's completely immune to it. Lesson 10, the Immunity Protocol. Here's what most people don't realize: immunity to manipulation isn't about becoming paranoid or defensive. It's about developing internal radar so sophisticated that manipulation attempts feel like watching amateur hour at the local community theater. With these 9 lessons integrated, you've achieved something most men never will: complete immunity to psychological manipulation. You can spot performances before the curtain goes up, recognize emotional traps before you step in them, see through false authority before you defer to it, and protect your authentic self without losing it. But here's the real victory: you don't have to become manipulative yourself. You can remain authentic and generous, but only with people who deserve it. You've learned the difference between genuine connection and calculated exploitation. Now comes the real test: taking this knowledge back into the world where these same manipulators are still operating, still trying their tactics, but now facing a completely different version of you. You return to your daily life, but everything has changed. That family member who used to guilt trip you. You see it coming and don't engage emotionally. The friend who always needed favors. You recognize the pattern and maintain your boundaries. The romantic interest playing games? You're no longer available for manipulation. You haven't become cynical, you've become strategic. You haven't lost your good nature, you've learned to protect it. The transformation is visible. You speak with confidence because you're not second-guessing hidden agendas. You make decisions faster because you recognize manipulation attempts immediately. You form deeper relationships because you're connecting with genuine people rather than users. Manipulators move on to easier targets. Genuine people are drawn to your confident energy. You find yourself in better social circles, romantic relationships, and family dynamics, not through manipulation, but through the natural magnetism of someone who can't be played. This is your new reality, a life where manipulation bounces off you like water off a duck's back. Where you can be generous without being exploited. Where your good nature becomes strength because it's protected by wisdom. You've mastered the ultimate power move, being impossible to manipulate while remaining true to your values. You're still the good man you've always been, but now you're a good man who can't be played. Ready to move different? Then don't stop here. Like, subscribe, and dive into the Power as Design playlist, where strategy replaces struggle, and silence says more than words. Because power isn't given. It's built, deliberately, ruthlessly, and without asking for permission. If you're still watching this, congrats, you're either evolving fast, or Machiavelli is your new therapist. Either way, you're in the right place.